I was trying.
Nothing.
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killing, pre-cold villains on the mic, got you reeling. Five-star rated from the floor to the ceiling. If you catch a one-star, no time for feelings. Got a demon DJ on the ones and twos, by the name Elzebub, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all over two, and prepare to hear the legend of the straight chillin' crew.
What up, nerds? And welcome to another patchy episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name is Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode 524, recorded on Monday, April 21st, 2025, also known as the Fog Day. Tonight we're talking about a new release just hit Shudder. The movie is called Dead Male. Before I get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show tonight. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got your boy, Randu.
What's up, buddy? That bump was
What
very delayed. How cool is that?
was that from Rocco's Modern Life?
No, that is from a little show, seminal show by the name of
Hmm.
Blues Clues.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Come on now.
What am I doing in my 30s? I don't know
What,
Blue's
I
Clues
thought
anymore.
I can't believe you don't have a mastery of children's television like
I'm
that. Come on.
a loser. Last but not least, calling in from Seoul, South Korea, we got Shaboy Soju. What's up?
Oh, what up? It's your boy Postmaster Soju. Got a big package here for you boys. Which one's gonna sign for it?
God.
Depends. Anything perishable in there?
Uh,
Oh, it's a little fragile. You gotta handle it with care, Randy.
Fragile.
No can do, buddy.
Fragile.
I didn't know you were French. Interesting.
I'm
Damn, dog.
trilingual, Bob. I've been trying to tell you all these years.
There's a huge award in there. Trilingual. Trying being the operative.
Trying.
That's
Trying to be
TRY
lingual.
lingual. I'm trying
Trying
to speak
really
one language properly, and it's failing. I'm failing all the way to the
desperately.
bank.
I need to be lingual.
Mangs, deuce. I speak it well.
Yeah, Mangs.
Uh,
That'll get you far.
Juice, I noticed there was several scenes in the movie we're about to talk about involving ice cream. Were
Oh,
you did
yeah.
you feel inspired
Oh
to
yeah,
go
I felt a
creaming tonight
strong connect. No, not well, no.
or this morning for you
But
for
I
your
did feel a
breakfast?
strong connection to this film because of them.
Are you going to be slamming fistfuls of ice cream into your mouth
I
this
always
morning?
do.
God damn. Just raw
What
dogging
is
it out of the
hiding?
carton.
What is hiding in that carton?
There's a little treat at the
How many?
bottom. It's like cereal,
Oh
you know?
boy. Ugh.
Yeah, we're talking about Dead Mail, but before we get into it, let's tackle just a little bit of housekeeping real quick. Our May poll is still posted over on our Patreon website. If you guys support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this May. Rand Diesel, May was your takeover month. Tell us what's going
That
on.
that is true. So for my takeover month, I decided to do a slew of films featuring found footage freaks for the alliteration points.
Ooh.
So we have a film called Be My Cat from 2015, a film called Man Bites Dog from 1992, and Milk and Cereal from 2024, just this past year. So um, I suppose Justin probably has a question for you.
Hey, Bob, how was your trip to New York?
That's not the
Swerve!
question I was teeing up, but
I've been
sure.
really curious. No, Bob, how those numbers looking?
Well, let me tell ya, Be My Cat last place with 18% of the vote. Everybody likes dogs slightly more, so that's in second place with 27% of the
Oh
vote.
yeah, dogs are better. That's
But
for
let's
sure.
let's be real. Everybody fucking loves breakfast, so milk and cereal sitting on top with 55% of the vote.
I've seen people abandon all of their family pets for breakfast. I've seen it.
You got to do it sometimes.
That's that American breakfast, though. I mean, let's be clear.
That real shit.
Which technically qualifies as a full meal's worth of calorie or full day's worth of
Full
calories.
Which is
years worth
really
of
just-
Oh
calories.
my god!
Dessert.
Cinnamon rolls and pancakes,
A massive cake.
chocolate milk.
Marshmallows.
Yeah.
Can I get more sprinkles on these hotcakes, please?
Breakfast,
I'm sorry.
you know.
I need a full block of cheddar on my scrambled eggs, please, and thank you.
Grits ain't grits without a pound of cheddar.
Ooh.
We all know. Get those votes in before the end of the month. We'll see what movie we're talking about. In other Patreon news, we just dropped a brand new mini cast last Friday on The Gorge. Your boy Soju was talking about that. Next up, Rand Diesel, you got a mini cast dropping this Friday, April 25th. You're
Ooh,
talking
do
about
I?
a movie called Opus.
Damn, that's just now coming out. Okay, I forget
Yeah.
how far in advance we do this shit every time. Yeah, I watched the film Opus with Ayo Edebiri and fucking whatever his dick is. I'll think of it eventually. He reminds me
Floppy.
very much of the act. Floppy Dick. That's
Floppy
his name,
Dick.
yes. My boy Floppy over here. He does
Cauliflower.
quite a number on this film.
Oh, God. Was it punched too many times? What is the correct
Malkovich.
number of times? I don't know. It's
Floppy Dick Malkovich is what I was thinking of. So yeah, John Malkovich, and yeah, this came out just this year, a month or two ago, and mini cast on it. Check it out if you're a patron.
Yep. Dropping over on Patreon, we got over 150 mini casts. Hit it up. You can listen to those on Patreon as well as your podcatcher of choice.
Whoa.
That's all we got going on for Patreon. Anything you guys need to plug?
Not
I
a
think my
damn
house
thing.
is clean.
Bob,
Right.
is your plug plugged?
Oh, we're plugged up. Squeaky
Ooh.
clean.
This house is clean.
All right, let's get into the main event. We're talking about Dead Mail, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Bob, I know this box doesn't exist. How does that make you feel?
Empty inside.
Mm.
Mm.
It's got to come. I mean, I hope it comes
A
out.
big blue
physical.
hole right in my chest.
Yeah, right on your shelf, but you can't really tell.
Yeah, somehow
Look pretty full from here, actually.
I don't spy a single slot
Yeah.
myself.
Oh, I can find room. Trust.
Bob, it's been about a year when you first moved in. We thought, oh yeah, it's gonna take Bob a while to fill up all that new space he's got, and well, here we are.
Yeah, officially,
Whoops.
officially some load-bearing media shelves in that room now.
Oh my God, I completely forgot. It's boys. Here we are.
It's
It's
boys.
Boys, here we are right now. We are officially halfway to Halloween. Whoa.
Oh, shit.
Whoa,
Oh,
boys.
Uh,
Announced right here on Straight Chillin'. It's
Okay.
official.
announced.
Nowhere
We are proud
else
to
has
announce
announced
that we
it.
have declared
Nor
that it is
can
halfway
they.
to
I
Halloween.
declare halfway to Halloween.
The fog day is halfway to Halloween day. Perfect
Wow.
day.
There you go.
Well, there you go.
Perfect day. Eat candy corn, carve some jack-o'-lanterns.
It's time
wear
to
a
start
costume.
planning your Halloween costumes. You only got 6 months
Oh.
to go.
Yeah, no, and they fly by. They
No.
fly by. Dead Mail, this will probably get a physical release. Shudder's been putting most of their originals out on disc, which is pretty cool of them to do. So keep your eyes peeled for that. This did just drop a few days ago. We saw this a year ago now at the Overlook Film Festival 2024. And we were pretty hot on it, but weren't really able to talk about it at length because it hadn't been released and we didn't want to spoil it for anybody. But now we're very happy to do so. This has a runtime of 1 hour and 46 minutes. This was written and directed by Joe DeBoer and Kyle McConaughey, starring Sterling Macer Jr., John Flack, Thomas Boykin, Susan Priver, Mickey Jackson, Nick Heyman, handful of other lovely folks. Plot synopsis brought to you by IMDb is as follows. An ominous help note finds its way to a 1980s post office, connecting a dead letter investigator to a kidnapped keyboard technician. Boys, I know we've seen it all before, but would you recommend
We've
folks at
seen it
home
all.
check it out? Seen it
Buddy,
all
I have
before.
seen it all before.
Rand Diesel.
Even that. I know what you're thinking. That too.
Gross. You're so nasty.
Yeah. I
Would you
know.
recommend it?
Yes, I would. We were very, very hot on this film, and I was a little bit afraid, actually, after such a long time without having seen it, that maybe it would let me down a little bit. But I'm happy to say it really didn't. Like for the most part, it's pretty much the movie I remembered it to be, which was one that I found great enjoyment out of. It's got great style. It's a methodical pace, which I like, and a character study in some ways. I like it. I would recommend it. I think that it's not an action-packed type of thing, and it's a little bit more of like a slow burn horror than it is a barn burner. So keep that in mind. But yeah, I'd recommend it.
Right on. Juice, what about you?
Yeah, to echo that, like a general recommend. I do like this movie, but I do think, I mean, it is slower. It's not gonna blow your tits off. It's not very tense, not very gory, not very scary. So it is very much driven by some interesting concepts and some good performances. But it is like a slower burn. It's kind of like a Misery light, you know. So it's not very thrilling or anything like that, but it's a good movie, got good style. But I could totally see people who are looking for something like actually like scary to thrill them or just like a really goofy time, you know, that's probably in the movie you want to throw on, but general recommend. Bob, how about you?
Yeah, I definitely recommend this one. I like it quite a bit. I think it's right to let people know it's not a barn burner. It's just something maybe a little bit different. You know, you throw it on and it might not be exactly what you would expect. And I appreciate
Yeah.
that quite a bit. And if you're into like synthesizers at all or synth music,
Yeah, really.
I guess.
pretty pretty central to that. Or if you
Yep.
just are really into the USPS, you love mail and like how it works, then
Love
this is
Oh, yeah.
Because the mail never stops.
if you really want to watch somebody solder a circuit board at length, this is the movie for you. So
If that
I
sounds
Those
have,
three
terrible,
groups.
that's not a joke. So
that's yeah, that
I have-
happens quite a bit.
I have colleagues that work on with the USPS and
Whoa,
including their
flex.
investigative arm. So I've been like telling them about this for a year, and I think that they might have thought I was fucking with them for a while because it took so long for it.
That movie
become a
doesn't
real-
exist.
become a
Why is this
movie that
guy
exists,
trolling me?
I don't
A
know.
movie about the mail's coming out, bro.
I
It's
swear,
coming.
dude, I
swear.
promise.
It's
I'm gonna
so
be in it.
sweet.
Why is it so
I'm
late?
in it.
We're
Tom
supposed
Hanks
to
is
be
in
on
it. He plays
time.
my son.
Tom.
Tommy Hanks. Tommy Hanky. That sounds like
Tom.
overall a recommendation from the Straight Chilling crew.
I'd say medium to loose.
I think we can distill it right down the middle to a
If-
medium to
Even when we
loose.
all recommend it, we're like, if you fucking feel like it.
medium to
we all
loose,
shit-
I think.
if we all
I think
shit
it's kinda
all
like
over
a
it, we
medium
say-
to loose.
If every one of us says no, I don't recommend it. You
It's
will
medium.
have a medium to
Medium
loose
to loose.
recommend.
Hey, you know, you can check it out.
It's a pretty loose recommend. Check it out.
I
Really,
mean,
like
just
we give
throw it out.
recommendations so we can tell people check it out if you want.
Do what you
That's
fucking
their
want.
value.
You're an adult. We don't give a shit. Whatever. Fuck you. Fuck us.
Have you heard of
Whatever.
our podcast?
All right, we're gonna be spoiling the shit out of this movie, and here comes your warning.
Spoiler warning.
Juice, do you have a plot synopsis typed up?
I just remember that
Oh.
I do. So I'm doing the plot
Sick.
synopsis.
I expect you
today.
to keep it real tight now. All
It's
right,
not
don't
tight.
let me down.
I
Oh,
I
no.
leaned more into the loose this week. So
Oh God.
all right, here we go.
Medium
Ready?
to loose.
Well, we'll see.
Oh,
Dead
God.
male. Start now. So the movie starts off in suburbia, focusing on a middle class home. From the front door, a chained man holding a bloody letter crawls his way outside and puts the letter into a post box. He is then attacked from behind. Whoa. At the post office, a man named Jasper investigates dead letters, which are letters that have some kind of problem, like incorrect addresses and stuff like that. He is very good at his job, and he gets the bloody letter which says, "Help me, kidnapped, White Ranch House, County Road 119. His name is," but it stops there. He's got a guy who helps him as a kind of hacker, who can get information very easily. His name is Renee. Jasper lives at a men's home. A man's home. He lives at a men's home.
A man's
I live in a
home.
He lives
man's
at a
home.
man's home.
Some call it
Um,
a cave, that kind of place.
Cave.
But he doesn't have a roommate. He meets a man in the bathroom who seems personable, so he invites him to bunk.
They
with him.
always do.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Back at work, Jasper.
I have a daddy kink.
I bet you do. Starts investigating the bloody letter with the help of his friend Renee, and then he is suddenly attacked by his bunkmate, who then strangles Jasper to death with his belt. We then jump back in time. The bunkmate's name is Trent, and he attends an exhibition for synthesizers and keyboards, where
Hell
he
yeah.
meets Josh, who is trying to sell his specialty pipe organ sound patch. Trent proposes that they collaborate, and Josh agrees, with Trent acting as the money man. Trent is kind of a weirdo and becomes obsessive over Josh and continues to push the boundaries of their relationship.
I decided that I'm lonely.
Yeah. Trent becomes enraged when he finds out Josh wants to move to Japan to work for a Japanese company. He eats a lot of ice cream with his hands.
Been there.
Yeah. All been there, boys. Best friends
Just
moving
raw
to
dogging the
Japan.
cream.
Just that was Bob when I announced I'm moving
Oh,
to
God.
Korea.
Just fisting ice cream into my mouth.
Just sitting on
Oh,
the floor like
God.
the mom in Blood Rage.
Trent then abducts Josh and locks him in his basement and forces him to work on the prototype keyboard they've been working on. Josh tries to escape but fails, and that's when Trent chains him up in the bathroom. Josh tries to escape again, which leads us back to the scene we saw at the very beginning of the film. We then see that Trent also killed the post office maintenance man after he killed Jasper, and framed that guy to make it look like he had killed Jasper and then killed himself. The ladies that work at the post office do not believe this, though, and work to find out the truth. Renee has also been working on trying to find out who killed Jasper. They all work together to track down Trent's house and there they find Josh tied up. Trent flees the house after severing his partnership with Josh. Josh is saved and freed from captivity. Trent goes back to Josh's garage and eats a poisoned dish of chicken while listening to a tape that Josh had recorded of him playing his signature woodwind sound patch.
Bullshit. Derivative.
And then there are credits at the end that kind of say what everyone did after the story, creating the illusion that this is based on a true story, which it's not.
Psych.
It is not. It's such an interesting choice for them to do that. That's one of my favorite things about it, honestly. It's so brazen. We have the internet now. It's not like in the 80s or some shit where you could just look it up.
Yeah,
or
but
where
even
you couldn't look
afterwards,
it
I
up or-
texted y'all and I was like, "Is this based on a true story?" I don't want.
Well, they did a good job.
Google.
Like the similarity is there.
I
Yeah.
didn't think it was.
And
I
it
honestly,
says in the credits.
I didn't love the post credit. Like, this is where they are today. It just because the story's over and it's very satisfying, and then you read those and you're like, I don't know, it doesn't really add anything to the story, really.
It's an
for
immersion
me.
thing for me, man. Like
Oh,
because
yeah?
it looks and feels like the real
Yeah,
thing.
they pick
even though
people
it's
that
not.
would reasonably. It creates enough reasonable doubt to say, like, yeah, this story's not so bombastic. It's not so out of the
Yeah.
realm of reality. And the pictures that they use for the people that they're putting in there, like, I don't even necessarily know if I like looked at the information like about where Josh is today. And if I did, I don't
Mhm.
really remember what it said, but
Oh, it's just said that he can't be found, or like he's gone into seclusion or something like that.
yeah, I mean, it's just like I don't necessarily love it or hate it, but it did create that idea in my mind that yeah, this could have happened.
Mhm.
So it really just kind of works in that way, I guess, for the
You know,
film.
it doesn't need it. Like I could
No.
absolutely
No.
like the argument that it's necessary is not there, but I like it. I just think it's a nice quirk to add on top.
It
It's a
didn't do
little
it for
cherry on
me.
top,
It was
yeah.
like it actually, I mean, the movie was over, but at that point it felt like, I mean, we know this isn't accurate information. I don't know, it's just a weird choice. It didn't
I
really do much for
didn't
me.
know though. I mean, it's within the realm of possibility that this is could have happened.
Oh, I'm
Well, I mean, it's the
alone.
first
I'm
time I
alone in
saw
my
this. I mean,
principles.
it's been a year, and like the first time I saw this, I did have that reaction, like, wait a minute, this is real? That can't be true. And then like it gets to the final frame, and it's like, oh, all characters are all events are fictitious. Blah, blah,
See, I
blah.
didn't even make it that
Like-
far, so it wasn't enough
Yeah.
to keep watching the credits, but it was enough
Mm.
for me to be like, I wonder if this is real. Should have just
Well.
waited like 30 more seconds, I guess.
Bob, you can keep those principles. Yeah.
There's a handful of interesting choices in this movie. I mean, pretty much all the other ones worked for me. That was the only one that really didn't. The main thing that jumps out at me watching this movie is the sort of the change in protagonist. There's like sort of three, I would break this movie down into like three separate parts, each being led by like a different protagonist, but it all feels very seamless. And I think it's like a bold choice to do that because I think you could definitely lose an audience anytime you switch protagonists. But they're all very like interesting people in like the flow of the narrative, just kind of it just winds from like one person right to the next, and it's not jarring in any way. It's just sort of an interesting thing to see a movie do because they rarely
That's
do that,
true. And I think it all hinges on Trent Whittington, who's like the central antagonist of this, being as strong as he is.
tying the room together.
Yeah.
He is tying the room together. He's a nice rug of a man. And and I don't know, like I think that like also all of the characters are, well, with the exception of Josh, I guess. Josh is very much on an island. He doesn't know any of these people until like he's rescued, basically. But as far as the post office goes, so much is centered around that for obvious reasons, called Dead Mail, that like it's not that big of a shock once Jasper's out of the picture, and it's just these two women who we were introduced to earlier who have no real strong significance other than just being place setting at that point. Them taking it on themselves. I don't know. It does flow nicely into itself. It does that backtrack to show Josh's thing, and it recontextualizes some stuff we've seen, and then it reuses the Chekhov's protagonists in what was her name, Anna or
Anne.
Yeah. And the other woman as well. So I don't know. I like that too. I'll tell you the quirk of this movie that I like the best. Like it's the aesthetic for me that gets me in this. The way that this is shot, and I don't know the technicals of any of this shit, but it's got that weird like grainy flicker that makes it look like it's projected through like an old projection unit, like not a laser projection, like not a digital production at all. It really has like that sort of backlit flickering going on that I love. Did you guys notice
So
that?
they did. So I would say that they did actually use the same kind of lens that was used to film Taxi Driver. So they did shoot it. And so I don't think it was like a post thing. I think they really did try to shoot it like that.
It seems too authentic to have been anything but like a real like camera or whatever choice, like an in-camera thing.
Yeah. So they both said they really loved like film grain, and they did everything they could to not make it look like some digital aspect of that to try to keep it authentic. So yeah.
Well, they did fucking fabulous with that. It really feels like this movie has it's so dated and yet weirdly timeless at the same time. Did you guys feel that at all? Like it's clearly set in a very specific time. It has the look of that time or whatever, but because of that, it kind of has the same longevity of like it feels like a modern person, which it is, watching an older film, which it's not. You know what I mean? It really has that same feeling.
I wouldn't call it timeless because such a large part of the story is about like the creation of synthesizers. So like
Yeah, I
that
mean
really
it
dates it.
is definitely, but it
The
does feel like
experience
an
is kinda
authentic. It feels
Yeah.
like you could be watching an old movie.
Like it is from 1980 or whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's evocative of that era. It feels like I just watched a
No.
movie from that era.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's
does.
not it's not doing the 80s nostalgia bait with like the hyper
No.
neons and the synth that's like way too saturated and bassy, and yeah,
No,
it
it's
feels
Actually,
like
it's
wood
more
paneling
realistic.
80s.
Yeah,
Like,
I
especially
agree, yeah.
the settings that you have, the post office and the men's home, and then this
Mm.
Midwestern home. Yeah, they all
mhm.
feel like authentic looks at what the 80s truly looked like, not some
Not Stranger Things in it.
not Stranger Things. Yeah.
Yeah, which I mean,
Yeah.
there's plenty of room for that, but there's also like so many people have gone that route. Like that's not that's almost played out again. Like
Yeah.
in retro languages. I haven't seen rather a lot of movies that really do this sort of like lived in 80s.
Yeah.
And when they do, it's kind of like something like Wet Hot American Summer does that great. Even though that is still centered around teen culture, so you still get a lot of like those things that are off in mind, like Credence references and shit like that. This doesn't have any of that. This is like a bunch of dorks from the 80s and a bunch of working stiffs from the 80s doing their thing and playing it pretty naturalistically.
Yeah. I will say this is the second watch, and you mentioned it in your recommendation, Randy, but I actually thought this movie for me did lose a little bit on the second watch, actually. Not a lot, but what I found, a couple things were a little surprising to me on the second watch. The first one is t going back to the idea of changing the protagonist. I thought the first moments with Jasper were longer. I thought it took up more amount of the time. So I was checking because that was such a surprise to me. He's killed, I think, around the 20-minute mark. And that was such a surprise to me that there was still an hour and 20 minutes left of the film without that aspect. And they do a little jump backwards where then we get the maintenance man scene and stuff. But that actually doesn't last too long. So I was actually kind of surprised by that. And what I found was that a lot of that extra time that was left kind of dragged a little bit more this time around. I guess it's more of the moments with Josh and Trent like in the middle, I guess. Felt a little long in the tooth, you know.
I hear that.
But no, this time around, I did think to myself, you know what? I do feel like that there's a solid maybe 15 minutes that could be trimmed from this. I don't necessarily know that this is the movie that needs to be an hour 46.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just so it dragged for a slower movie that's really focused on somebody like being kind of like chained up and stuff. I found it to be a little extra slower this time.
I get that. To
Yeah,
me,
I
like,
think the surprise
about that.
factor is no longer there on the rewatch, and I think the
True.
surprise factor carries this movie a pretty substantial distance. I think Trent's an interesting enough character that the sort of middle part of the movie is still entertaining and interesting to watch him, because I think you get to learn some about his character, maybe not as much as you kind of would hope, but I think there's an interesting like part of this movie that like doesn't really come out and say it necessarily, but I think he's not just obsessed with synthesizers and audio
Mhm.
I don't
and
think he gives a
Josh's
shit about
talent.
synthesizers.
Oh, I
Oh,
think he
I
does,
think he
but
does for
Oh,
sure.
really?
Yeah,
yeah,
but I also think he's like falling in love with Josh.
Oh,
And
well,
so
yeah.
I think
when he
there's
leaves,
certainly
it's
that
like
argument.
it's extremely personal. It's not just about the music, but I do
Well,
think he genuinely
he
cares about it.
captures him like it's not.
Yeah.
I don't think he captures him because he wants the fucking synthesizer business to go forward. I think he does that because he's in love with him, or he's immediately codependent with this man,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
romantic reasons or otherwise. But I want to like contradict you guys a little bit because I found the middle to be the best parts. Like I really love like watching Trent and Josh like play off each other. I like that Sterling Macer Jr. like his performance is fucking great to me. It feels very real. It's the big grounding that this movie needs because I feel like Jasper kind of took that role and then he was taken out. And then the women at the post office are a little bit more heightened, I think. Certainly the white lady is like a little bit more chewing the scenery type of acting going on there. And Sterling just seems like a real dude who's just like got his interests. I don't know. It's like watching a dude walk out of the show Shark Tank and into the 80s and into the show. He's just pinning all of his hopes onto this thing. I had a big affinity for him, and seeing him like get pulled into this fucking web, especially even the second time, knowing that Trent has nothing positive for this man. Um, I don't know. I really like all that stuff. I think it could, like, overall the movie could be trimmed a little bit, but I would take a little bit more out of the back end myself.
Now, I would contradict you a little bit in that I don't think that these people feel realistic necessarily, because I think this is written in a style to be a little more artistic, especially the dialogue. The way that they speak is not realistic, and the way that they
It's
interact
definitely
together is.
Trent.
Yeah, but I mean, even
I
I
think
don't
Trent's
know.
just
I think
weird.
Josh too.
Yeah.
The way he talks is. I think it's written in it's all not to this extreme. But it kind of reminds me of things like Killing of a Sacred Deer, where they all talk in this slightly kind of heightened way, and their interactions are kind of like that. So I would say Josh, Jasper, and Trent all have that kind of aspect to them, where the ladies are a little bit more natural. Maybe even the maintenance man is
Wow,
kind
I
of
feel
like that
totally the
too.
opposite. Like, yeah,
Really? No, I
yeah.
didn't. So for you to say like, oh, it felt very natural. Like when I see Trent and Josh speaking together, I don't feel like I'm really watching two people's true interactions. I feel like I'm watching type of artistic scene play out, but
See,
it
I
definitely
yeah, no, we're
yeah.
very much on the opposite ends of that. I
Hmm.
feel like the lady's accent at the post office for one thing kind of grated on me for starters, but like that whole like that stuff seems very like, oh, establishing how this works and all this stuff, like establishing how the key system works and whatever, and having a little bit of banter here and there doesn't really like it doesn't seem like it's unnatural, but compared to Trent, or not even Trent, sorry, it's really more Sterling Macer. I feel like he's the grounded one, and Trent's character is like he's this oddball who's clearly obsessed with this man, and this man is just like obsessed with his work, and he wants to be the best at it. He's very insulated person. He has only worked with himself. He's never even considered having a partner. He just wants to like quietly work on his thing on his own. And I feel like they're kind of the same in that way, but Trent is like immediately glomming on and like treating him like an extension of himself immediately. And this guy just doesn't know how to deal with that because he's kind of
Yeah, he's a timid
an
guy.
introverted person who doesn't
Yeah.
do that sort of thing very often. And I don't know. I found something very real about that. It feels like two introverted people, one of whom has metastasized this awful fucking loneliness that is going to attach him to the other, and the other guy just wants like, okay, maybe I found a kindred spirit here that's going to help me reach my goals that I want to reach, and that's where it feels naturalistic to me when they talk. It seems like one dude is just like kind of like cautiously optimistic and kind of hopeful and like, wow, I can't believe this guy's going to like buy all this shit for me, and he's just a little naive. That all seems so real to me. I like that.
I will echo that. I think one of the most effective things in this film is the kind of darkness that Trent brings and the kind of shattering nature it has on Josh. So, like, there's a couple key scenes too. Of I think they build it well. One that sticks out in my mind is that conversation they have where, Josh is like he's trying to reciprocate the type of energy he's getting back, but in a normal way. So like when he calls him and he's like, "Oh, the octave is, or I got this octave thing." And then Trent's like, "Ooh, mother always said
Yeah,
celebrating." And he's so
He's a
weird about it. He's such a
strident believer
weirdo.
in
And he's
reward.
really, yeah, like trying to just push him to have dinner, and then he's like, leave the phone on, let me listen to your work. And he's like,
dude.
what
Yeah,
are you talking about? And
He gets
like,
like turned on by it. It's
well, and it
wild.
gets heightened because even at the moment of, Josh is about to go into the basement, and he's had enough signals to be like, all right, going into this basement is making me unsafe or
hmm
making me feel unsure, but it hasn't been pushed enough to not keep him from going down there completely. He's still, but
hmm
he also needs his prototype too, which was a cool like. This movie, it really does actually have an effect on me. I said it's kind of like a Misery light, but I think one of the things that really affected me both times was more in the realm of like what a film like Cable Guy, or that one that I always
Mhm.
talk about with Bill Murray and he's chasing his
What about Bob?
What About Bob?
Dinner for
It
Schmucks comes to mind too.
Yeah, it's got that element of somebody just like ruining your fucking life for no goddamn reason, you know? I get
Mhm.
so bummed out when Josh is getting ready to go to Japan and it's like he's worked so hard and he's
He's
achieved
so
this and
excited.
yeah, he's so excited. He's learned Japanese, he's getting the calls, he's got the boxes going. And I always just think about like the time he spends in the basement. I'm like, I know his thoughts of like
Mm-hmm.
I should be in Japan. I should be living my dream. I should be,
Yeah,
walking the
this guy
streets
stole
of
my dream from
Inagi.
me.
Yeah, just like, oh, I feel so bad for
It
him.
hurts. It does hurt, man. I don't know. I feel a lot. I feel for fucking Josh in this movie more than any other character, and I think that honestly, like some of his like naivete and all that sort of stuff really inform that a lot. And Trent is such an interesting character though, because like he's not like a mustache twirler at all. Like this is not like a bog standard villain. He is mentally maladjusted, but he's not even like Kathy Bates in Misery, where he's like flying off the handle every so often. He's very methodical in everything he does, which is kind of almost more scary in some ways.
He
And
reminded
also,
me more
sorry,
of
go
a
ahead.
Norman Bates kind of character
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
this.
Well, the mother
Yeah.
context certainly didn't
Mother
help.
boy.
Mother
Mhm.
always said. um,
Ugh.
but and also like his backstory that he gives, where he's like, he was on the was it UCLA basketball team or something like that, and
No, it
whatever.
was like he was a I
Javelin.
was a
Yeah, that's
javelin
right. It was
man.
He
track and
fell in
field
love with
guy.
a
Yeah.
discus thrower, and then he
Dude, the
moved
way he
to
delivers that story though is pretty because he does the little things of like, I don't know if you're aware, but discus throwers and javelin men have a bit of a like
Bit of a
a
rivalry.
yeah,
rivalry. And
He's doing a
that
John
delivers
Malkovich
so
thing,
good.
man. It's
keep it
fucking interesting.
spirited.
Yeah, but like that whole backstory is so like it's like they do a good job of kind of justifying the mindset that this twisted person has to be in the second time he's fallen in love or otherwise like found himself fixated on this one person who he has ingratiated himself to, and he's like, well, do I this time around do I let him go or do I enact a snare that I've developed? Like I could do that,
Mhm.
and he sits there munching his ice cream in his basement and conceives of the whole plot right there. You know,
I love
like,
that scene.
That's
It's
it.
so good.
Fistfuls of well, that because that's one of the few moments that we see him fall apart. Everything he
Mhm.
is working, he is always like so meticulous in that kind of way, and that's his crumbling point. But I like the way he delivers the story, but I do like the way that they wrote it too, because it is such a moment of sickness. It's like I don't know, it feels like a patient describing their symptoms to a doctor or something. You're able to really capture the idea of like at no point is it okay, but you come into this understanding of just how much this like mental cut has become infected, I guess is the best way I can describe it. Of like, yeah, okay, this man tells a story, and from all accounts, it doesn't even necessarily seem like the person he's talking about had a reciprocal type of relationship. And maybe in a friendly, I know you kind of way, but it doesn't sound like they were actually
oh no.
together. And that's that sickness of that's clearly had a huge effect on him. And in some ways, it makes you sympathetic because everybody has felt loneliness before. Oh, like you think you found a friend, you connect with someone, and they're immediately gone. And they certainly, maybe you realize they didn't feel the same type of way about you, not even
They don't have the
necessarily
devotion you have.
romantically. Yeah, but just
Yeah.
about like you feel like you've made a connection with somebody and they're just like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm friendly with this person
Well,
over here,
That That was one of the things that the wrap up, the like tags at the end during the credits about all the people in the movie. The one about Trent said like there were no pictures found of him on the high school javelin
No
team or
record of
whatever
him.
Oh,
it
see, I
was.
didn't even see that.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of liked it being left a little more ambiguous, but I mean, and that just tells you straight up like he fabricated this whole like probably love story in his mind about this guy who he went to high school with, and
But
like
He
he
says
had
there's no record of his
pictures.
attendance. I
he
know,
had
and that's
he
the
had
thing is like, go ahead.
you don't know what he looked like when he was in high school. I mean, there was a
Oh.
taller white guy, but maybe it wasn't
Yeah.
him, and you
Oh,
just
I
kind of
don't
think
like
it.
that then. That
Yeah.
that's they shouldn't have done that. I don't like that. That hurts the
I don't know. I don't
story.
mind it so much, but I do like I like the ambiguity too. Like given the choice, I would not be upset if that part was changed. But
Hmm.
I also think it adds a level and just a one more level of fucked up depth to Trent's. Like, oh, okay, so he's like fully and completely detached from reality. But like, I kind of like it both ways. I like it when it's like it's as presented in the majority of the film, which is this is a lonely guy who rarely makes a connection with people, keeps his guard up, very insular, very self, you know, intentionally sort of like on his own with his own interests. Fucking 40-year-old virgin, right? He has walled himself off and he has no intention of going out, but then something chips through the wall through one way or another. And he winds up like being really fixated on that thing in Trent's case. Like I love that, but I also could see like, okay, this is a guy that's so lonely that he's inventing stories that aren't even his. You know, I think
Yeah.
they both
I
work,
think
but
I
it's
think
a
you
weird time to change it. Like it's a
I
weird
think you
point in the
could
movie in which to alter it.
read into the
Sorry.
character a little bit when he's talking about like being stuck in an oil drum and there's like a tiny little cut allowing him to peek out and see the world, but more importantly, nobody even knows he's there. They don't know who he is at all. And I think you could, read into that just like growing up as a homosexual man in the 50s, 60s, 70s, if this movie set like 1980, 81, I don't know. Just like growing up at that time period would be extraordinarily difficult. Maybe he never felt comfortable sharing who he really was with the people around him, and that just like turned him into who he became. Or
Maybe.
I also think there's like his mom might have been abusive. The way he keeps like bringing her up in this very strange kind of way. It does. Grown ass men don't really talk about their moms quite like that normally. It
Whoa,
feels
whoa, whoa.
a little off-putting,
We talk about
perhaps.
each other's moms a lot.
Oh, don't we? Up top. Heyo. I don't know. I feel like he is somewhat sympathetic if you sort of read into what he's saying. But
There's
Yeah.
definitely
I
a
mean,
sympathetic read to this character for
Yeah.
sure.
He is sympathetic, and that's why I don't like the end part because I mean, it makes a kind of logical sense in the worst absolute way, which I think is what's good about the film is because, like I said before, is the audience for a moment can everyone knows what loneliness feels like. So in that
Mhm.
moment, you could say like, "Oh, most people have felt some kind of connection to somebody who either didn't feel the same kind of way or it was lost too early." And you always wonder like, what could have been or something like that. And so
The fish
to
that
ma-
got away.
to make it, to make it seem like he made that up. I don't like that because the whole cracking point is he is now an older person and he's lived his whole life with this regret of I didn't say anything. I didn't take my shot and I've just literally been sitting for the past 25 years thinking about that constantly. Wow, what would my life be if I took the shot, if I went with him, or if I asked him to stay, or if I just shared my feelings in some true way? And that's the infection to the point now where he's so worried that that might happen again that he's pushed it to the extreme. I'm going to take action this time, but not in the sense of
Not in a
I'm
healthy way.
yeah, not because
No,
he's
yeah.
like, I'm gonna fix my mistake that I've been stewing over for
Mm.
20 something years, but it's
Well-
not in a healthy way because he's not a well-adjusted person. It's in a I'm going to abduct this person and manipulate them into
I guess
trying to love me type of way.
I think it kind of started healthy, but the second the dude finds out that Josh is leaving, he flips his fucking lid because he doesn't want to lose another person, even though he never seems to have never even had a conversation with this other guy that he
Well,
was clearly in love with in high school. But like, kind of maybe, he's trying to cook him dinner, whatever. I don't know. It
I
starts
don't know.
okay.
I don't. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't disagree
No.
with that. Like, I love that build of the character, but I don't think that him making that up negates it because I think that is a delusion of the same loneliness. Like, if that
Yeah.
is something that like, and it seems like he truly believes it to me. I don't buy that he's just making it up to manipulate the guy. I don't think he's thinking that far ahead. I think he's truly like revealing something about himself because this is the guy he reveals himself to. Like, this is the guy that he is being
Mm.
forthright with even when he's not. So I don't know. I think that it works both ways. I tend to agree that I think I would slightly prefer it if this interaction at some point that he did have that college experience. But if he didn't, like, to me, that's still just like a form of the same sickness, and it's still like he's still stewing over the fact that he doesn't have anybody in his life, that nobody like resonates with him until he finds the guy that resonates with him. And also, I'm not entirely sure that it is romantic. I think that's a perfectly valid thing you can point to and say, like, yeah, I mean, there's not any evidence of that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like it kind of there's nothing firm to where I kind of think he could be just like an asexual, lonely person who found a kindred spirit. Like
That's
people,
true.
I
Yeah.
think. I don't know. That's kind of how I read it. Like, just the first time, I can see it being like
Yeah.
a latent homosexual thing, but I think it might just be like a starved for camaraderie
Connection,
thing as
yeah.
much. Yeah.
Human connection.
Like,
yeah.
I think that's like the core of it. Yeah, whether it's sexual or not.
Mhm.
I really do think that it is about that just being so devastatingly lonely, not having anyone to share any because and I like that that's built into the psychology of the other actions that seem like a lot smaller. Like he doesn't he is doing his best to nurture a natural
Dependence.
relationship. Well, no, he doesn't like so to me it's very weird to be like what's your favorite or what do you want to eat and
Mm.
instead of just being like hey let's go it's
Yeah.
Let's go
totally
celebrate. Yeah.
normal to work with somebody and to hit a
Totally.
breakthrough and be like hey let's go celebrate,
Let's
let's go
celebrate.
grab a
Yeah.
drink, let's go get some dinner, but
Mm.
instead he doesn't know how to process it like a normal fucking human, so he
Mm-mm.
like goes in a
It's
story
a
about his
big deal.
mom and he tries to make this like fake date and like every piece feels like somewhat manipulated. It's just because he doesn't
Mhm.
know fucking how to be like hey let's just
Well,
go
because
Dude.
he's kind of love bombing him. Like, this is
yeah
what fucking like cult leaders and abusive relationships involve a lot of the times, is somebody being like he's like being very revealing of himself, and like, I'm letting you in, like, I'm being so generous as to tell you
yeah
about my mother, and like, I want to treat you, and I'm going to buy you all the things you need. You just mentioned that there's voles sneaking in. I'm listening to every word you say, and I'm going to give you everything you want. But the minute that you start uh that you do anything against that, or that rebukes that in any way, whether or not it's intentional, if I feel rebuked after all of that effort I put in, fuck you. You are now going to suffer whatever wrath I have in mind. That's what an abusive person does, and this guy is like weirdly abusive to the one person that he's actually connecting with in his life, maybe, or second. I don't know. I think it's really
Tomorrow
interesting.
at
And then
work, I'm gonna be like, Mother was a strident believer in rewards. Let us go to lunch,
We're just
coworker. And
normal men.
just see what the response might be.
Yeah, but I
um
think that is a lot of the strength of this film, but also too I think that resonates in other moments of this film. I mean, I think that this film does a really good job tapping into the kind of human experience of loneliness because even at the beginning, the first protagonist that we follow is Jasper,
mhm.
who it's very easy. I remember one of the things that stuck out in my mind about the first one is that twist of you're following Jasper. And one thing that I remember is how surprised I was that it was so easy to kind of connect or care about Jasper in such a short amount of time that by the time his death happens, that it is impactful. And that's why I think this time around I was even more surprised that it was shorter than I thought it was.
Mm. That makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, but even in that, it's such an interesting situation, the way this movie starts, that the whole theme then is about loneliness, because you have Jasper and really, when you actually go back and analyze it, if Trent wasn't so fucking weird and kidnapping people, his opportunity to make a connection is best when it's Jasper. Jasper is the one who also kind of resonates. He's kind of lonely. He doesn't have a bunk mate. He invites this guy and they just have like some casual conversation about like their hobbies and about their lives. And he's just kind of opening up to him in a normal kind of way. And
Yeah.
Trent can't deal with that or have that
Well,
because he's kidnapping somebody and murdering somebody,
he's
you know.
he's stalking Jasper. You know, they're
Yeah,
not
he's
really
there
having
yeah,
an
yeah.
honest
From the jump,
interaction.
yeah.
No, I know, but from like, but
No,
from
you're
the
right. From
aspect
If
Jasper's
they
of
just
perspective.
met at the post
of
office.
knowing that there are other people out there that also feel in the same way that you do, and there
Yeah.
are avenues out there in ways
To
to
meet those
meet people and to share a very normal conversation and things like that. But because Trent has dug him, that's the thing, is he's dug himself into this hole, this oil drum that he's talking about. He's like, he's put himself in there, and he just digs himself further and further down, to when there's any type of interaction that would be what he originally wanted, what he originally needed in life, this interaction, it's like he's too far down to be able to accept that.
Well,
I
think
definitely
that
read
that's- sorry,
into him being like originally put in that oil drum by like society and probably also his mother, and just not feeling like he's able to be his true self.
Maybe.
So like
I think that's part of it.
I think that's definitely part of it. Whereas like Jasper, I believe you just see who Jasper really is, and he's very comfortable in his own skin, and he might be lonely, and maybe he's going through some other stuff that isn't really in the movie. He's staying at the men's home or whatever, but he's got a job he's really good at that he likes, and he's respected, and I don't know, he seems mostly comfortable in his own skin.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's insecure like Trent is. I do think
Yeah.
that there's this touch of loneliness
Sure.
where, you
Yeah.
know, Jasper does have to kind of like put himself out there, like, hey, do you have a bun? They keep mentioning like, have you found a bunkmate? Yeah, have you found, like, just several people, the woman at the post
Yeah, it's
office,
true. Yeah.
the guy at the thing, have you found a bunk? So like it touches on this idea of grown men being lonely, I guess. How do grown men connect with each
Well,
other,
there's
you
there's
know?
another thing too. Like, like the
We
loneliness is a
don't.
huge thing. Jasper, you're totally
we
right. I was
do.
gonna say the same shit about like Jasper's like he's in a group communal home or whatever for whatever financial reasons or whatever. But also at work, he is isolated. Like he is
Yeah.
he's considered a savant at his job, and because he is so good at what he does, he is sequestered off by law
That's
and
true.
by this ponytail guy, this Mike Lindell with a ponytail. He's like locked away,
That
and like he
ponytail,
doesn't
good
actually even
lord.
get to interact with the folks that know and like him at his work all that often. So he's lonely, he's a little insular, and he's effectively like removed from society for say 6 hours a day, 8 hours a day,
Yeah.
whatever. So like there's an aspect of that. Josh simultaneously like does all of his work in his own basement. He's like a very insular person, but he's also very talented. This is actually kind of a little bit, this has a little bit of connective tissue with something like Get Out or even Sinners had a little bit of this going on, where this is a white dude who is glomming on to a talented black man who and taking advantage of him and like basically like trying to profit off of him. And Jasper is another person that like is being profited off of, even though he's living at a group home. Like he's not in a good situation financially, but he's like the most talented person at that job. So I don't know. There's a little bit of that. I don't know if that's intentional or just a result of me having just seen Sinners again. This is written and directed by two white guys by the look of things. So I don't think that that's necessarily true. But I couldn't stop thinking about that. All three of our protagonists are African American people. Anna at the end, Anne rather, she cracks the case. She's the one that's doggedly determined to solve Jasper's murder, figures out it's a murder, and solves it. And in the in the follow up, it said that she is
She got
fired for
fired.
breaking protocols and has to work at a waterbed store or something.
That one
Like,
was funny.
Just
It's
selling
like
Not
water.
funny, but like that one was the one that like I felt added to a little bit of the lore of the story of like,
Mhm.
oh, you are fired for breaking protocol. Yeah.
thankless.
Yeah.
thankless for
Yeah,
solving her
saving
friend's
a man's
murder.
life.
Yeah.
And
And
saving a man's life.
absolving another man of like murder charges. The guy who they thought hung
Yeah,
himself,
absolutely. Like,
Right,
his
yeah.
family
like she
and
got a
stuff.
front page article in
Yeah.
the local paper and then got fired for breaking protocols. And it's like, I don't know. There's something about that was stirring around in my brain this time around. We're like, man, these are like really talented people who are not necessarily able to use their talents just for themselves. It's like a burden in some ways because it's kind of insular, but also that's kind of how they like it. Trent, I think, is lonely and self-sequestered, but I don't think he likes it at all. I think that he does that as a method of regression, not regression. What's the term? Like it's self-preservation in some ways. Like he won't allow himself to experience those other things, whether because for previous experiences went badly or because he's built it up in his head or whatever. There's reason, but when he sees somebody who's talented, that's the thing. Is like it's not. I think that this is why I think that he's actually interested in the synthesizer stuff for real. Like I don't think that's just a front, because that's like if he wanted to, he could just be like, if he was really just devoted to Josh, he's like, okay, well, I'll move with you, or okay, we'll stay partners, and I'll come visit you, and we'll maintain a relationship, and we'll be partners, we'll make money together, whatever. If that's all it is, then that's all it is. But he is about the art of that fucking synthesizer. He wants it to be theirs. He wants it to be their love child, as it were.
I mean, we see that he's wired speakers all the way across his house, and he built an intercom in the basement. He's like very obsessed with audio in general. And when he's listening to that finished woodwind synth sound, I mean, he's creaming his pants. Like
He's creaming
loves
his mouth. He's
yeah.
ducking into some cream.
I'll do, and it's like so sloppy, and it's like spilling all over the phone and shit. That was
Maybe he
really-
wants
Yeah, that shit's
some
gross.
Cassidy chicken though. That I mean, without the rat poison, obviously.
But I don't know. I mean, I do think that he has an interest, but it's hard to say because we're introduced to it. I mean, he is attending a convention for synthesizers, an exhibition, but I think a lot of the reactions that we see are tied to the idea of Josh, though. And because there are several moments where they have, if he's obsessed with the idea of the synthesizer, like, yes, he wants it to be good, but even Josh says, like, everything we've worked on up until this point belongs to us. Like, you still maintain the propriety on this and like what we have and stuff like that. And his bitching about it becoming just another patch or whatever is really just, I took it as a lashing out of he's trying to create these reasons to motivate Josh to stay. That's not
yes,
really
definitely.
what
I mean, it can all be
matters
true.
to him.
No, I
It
think
can.
I think
It
they're both
can,
definitely
yeah.
true. I think that it's a combination. I think that the thing that attracts him to Josh in the first place isn't just Josh. It's Josh
talent.
at that his talent and his propensity for making good sounds or whatever, and his individual. And then it becomes like, oh, and this guy's also kind of insular. He's doing his own thing. I respect him as an independent thinker or whatever. And now I'm going to take his independence and acquire it, and it's mine now.
And maybe the discus throw. I mean, he was attracted to his talent first, and then
Could be.
built it all up.
Or
in
just
his
they
head.
have a shared interest. Like, he doesn't
Yeah.
just let that
Yeah.
fall down. He doesn't let himself out of the drum for just anybody. He has to see something
Right.
in that person. And the thing that he sees in Josh is, man, this is a talented guy, and it's something he's very, very interested in, that he wants to be involved with, like both financially and artistically. He has I think he has a true artistic bent to his desire to be with Josh, but I don't think it's one or the other. I think it's
Yeah.
a tandem spirit.
He likes a man who knows his way around a soldering iron. You know, don't
Well,
we
who
all?
doesn't? I mean,
Don't we all?
oh man.
Boys, any other major points you want to hit before we rate this thing?
No, I guess
No, I
not.
think that's about good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's do it. Out of 5, how do you guys feel about Dead Male? Ryan Doozle, kick us off.
And this is tough. Like this is a movie that I get, like, this is such a good conversation that I feel better than I did when I started this podcast, which I was already feeling pretty good about. So, and this is the second viewing, so it's not like I'm like just riding high on it necessarily for the first time viewing. I do think that there is a slight diminishing return, as Juicy pointed out. It's not pronounced for me to the point where I need to not worry about it. And like I said, I was thinking about other things that I had not considered the previous time, this time around, and that were additive to my experience this time around. So I think I'm going to go kind of real high. I'm going to go 4.5, I think, on this. Yeah, this is just a really fucking interesting goddamn movie. I don't think I've seen another movie quite like it. It feels like true crime without being true. And like, I just think aesthetically and like character wise, performance wise, like I think with some minor adjustments of like length and a few minor quibbles here and there, they really they don't stand up in opposition to what's great about this movie. So I give it a 4.5.
4.5 from Randoozle. Juice. How do you feel?
Yeah, I like this movie. I think it's good. I think it's a really good representation of loneliness and of these kind of like mental health issues. I think that it's all played out and written in a smart kind of way. And I do like the twist at the beginning of like where you think you're following Jasper and he's ultimately killed off. I still found that to be impactful, and that's one of the things that has stuck around with me the most since we watched it last year. But yeah, this time around, I did find it to be a little bit slower, and I did find the ending maybe to not have as much impact as I thought. Like him eating the chicken is good, especially with finding the tape about that Josh actually did kind of in some way like was respectful and like cared about him and it was like naming the woodwind after him and those things that like if he wasn't such a a weirdo obsessive prick would have gotten in his life. He would have just worked with Josh. He would have gotten that. He could have, yeah, gone to Japan too, or like visited his friend in Japan, or yeah, some like just if he wasn't a fucking weirdo. And I think that that's played out really well. I think everyone acts it well, but it was a little long. Again, the performances too, I don't feel them as very naturalistic. I see them as this type of performance, which I think is interesting and good, but it wasn't as natural to me as it was for Randy. And we didn't really talk about like the aspect of Renee and stuff too, about like the hacker and stuff. But I thought that was a cool way of putting it in the time period, along with the synth sounds and stuff. I thought him wiring the speakers in his house was a creepy thing. That worked really well. It reminded me of that Japanese movie that I think we also watched last year where the dude like can't speak and he's got the speakers.
New Religion.
Yeah, that show was really cool. So I like that idea. It's weird that it's popped up in two movies now. But but yeah, it was a little slower, longer. I'm a little sour now on those notes at the end. I did think that the one about the woman getting fired was potent, but I don't like the idea of Trent making this whole thing up. I don't know. That seems to kind of like undercut some of the loneliness messaging that they kind of set up that felt more natural to me. So I'm gonna drop it just a scotch on the second watch around. I still like it. I still think it's a really good movie and people should check it out. But this time I think I'm gonna end it at a 3.75, whereas probably last year I probably would have rated it around a 4, I think. So yeah. Bob, out of 5, where are you gonna rate Dead Male?
Dead Male. I like this movie quite a bit. Juice, are you telling me you're happy that I didn't lock you in my basement? Is that you're pleased about that decision?
Yeah, see, Bob, you got to come visit Korea and, spend time with me like a normal person. And I just
Nobody believes you can
Normal
afford a basement, Bob.
human
Come
being.
on.
In
it would be
this
filled with
economy?
blues. I'd have to sleep on the blues.
A
The
Florida
blue
basement, you'd
basement.
be drowning in an hour.
Can't chain me up to the blues, Bob.
Next time you're in the country, I'm gonna make you some katsu chicken, buddy. You better watch
Ooh,
your ass.
I am.
Yeah, I'm hot on this. I really like the 80s synth obsession happening, and I think that it's used very well inside the movie, and also the score sounds really sick. There's like this little theme. Um, Josh kind of has this like synth theme that he plays himself often, and it like really pleases Trent. And it's like it's cool that it's like just diegetic and like in the you watch him play it, but then also like all around that there's a lot of these like weird synth just kind of sounds and like soundscapes kind of happening and stuff. I think all of it sounds really cool, and the woodwind at the end like sounds really kind of beautiful, and like watching Trent get emotional while he's committing suicide is a pretty like potent ending. But I do think on a second watch, to your point, Juice, like it doesn't feel quite as like explosive or like fully satisfying. I don't think. I seem to remember there being more of a confrontation between the two than there really was. So maybe that's just my bad memory working there. But I really dig the change in protagonists and the three different points of view with three very strong characters that are all interesting, and it all feels very natural and like not forced, just kind of surprising and different. I did not know that a dead male investigator was a job. I've never heard of that before until I watched this movie, and I thought that idea is just really cool and kind of a perfect premise to start a horror movie. Like, oh, this bloody ass letter just lands on this dude's desk and he has to figure out where it came from or where to send it, or uh, all that's really cool. I just generally like synthesizers, so like that was neat to watch this dude like soldering all this shit together. That was kind of cool. Not a whole lot of negatives for me here other than the ending, like I mentioned already. The tags at the end during the credits I didn't necessarily love either. I think it is definitely like a lower budget movie, and I think you can kind of feel it at times. I don't hold that as like a ding against the movie necessarily. I think they did a ton with I don't think a whole lot. I think they vastly succeeded in almost everything they wanted to do. The I forgot all about the necklace, like the communion necklace, and like whenever he steals it and drops it in the ice cream, I was like, I don't know if I was taking a note on my phone or something, but I was like, wait, what the fuck is the necklace and the ice cream? And I had to like, I don't know, just think about the beginning and stuff. It didn't really seem to matter a whole heck of a lot, the whole necklace thread in the movie, but it's there. So there you go. I'm gonna come in with a 4 flat on this one. That's gonna put our aggregate at a 4.1. Let's go ahead and jump over into our Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the critics and users have to say.
Okay, gents, this is the Rotten Tomatoes segment in which I'm going to have you guess within the best of your ability what the aggregate positive score is for Dead Male on RottenTomatoes.com. Normally, we would do Tomatometer and Popcornometer, which is the critics and the users respectively, but there is fewer than 50 ratings from the popcorn meter, the poop meter. So no aggregate is given there.
We got to get those numbers up. Got to pump them up.
There is an aggregate, however, for the critics. There are, however, only 28 reviews. So yeah, keep that in mind. I'm a little sad that this movie isn't getting the attention that I feel it's deserved.
Well,
but
it's only been out on Shudder officially for like 5 days, 3 days, 4 days.
I know, but it also had its festivals run or whatever, and I don't know. I feel like it should get some more buzz than it's getting. Anyway, that's just me, Mr. 4.5. Why don't we start with Bob today?
That's
out of those
unheard of.
28, yeah. Why don't we see what you think, Bob? 28 reviews. What percentage are positive reviews?
I would like to think this is going to be really, really high because we all seem to dig it. I can't recall if we've spoken to anybody at all that has seen this movie besides us.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
So I don't know. Maybe we're
Because you guys
off.
didn't even see it
Hopefully
in a
not.
theater last time, right? Didn't we all watch it?
No,
it was
it was
like
a screener.
digital
Screener.
screener. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if
we didn't
maybe
even...
Liz and Jay, Scariest Thing podcast might have seen it. I feel like we might have had a conversation with them, but I could be misremembering.
I don't. Not that I recall, anyways. But yeah, I'm gonna come in high. I'll come in with Project 86, please.
The boy. That's what I was gonna
okay.
take. I was gonna take the
Oh,
boys.
oh, oh, oh! You have to take the other boys.
Damn it.
I don't know what the
Well,
other boys are, but you're gonna have to figure that out.
shit. I agree. I think that's what I was gonna take. I was gonna take the 86 boys. Because yeah, I mean 25 from the critics, I think generally people are not like when you're talking about it being an aggregate. I think that not a lot of people are going to have problems with this enough to rate it low enough to drop it into the rotten category. So I think it's going to be overwhelmingly high in the positive category. But I mean, it is slower and it is very stylized. But I think the critics are going to like that, especially if it's 25 people who are getting screeners at. I mean, these are all from the festival shit. I mean, I would assume. So I'll just $1, Bob, with the 87. I think it'll probably be in the higher realm,
You
but
slut.
I'm not
All
sure.
right. 87% from Soju, 86 from Bob. There are 28 reviews, and one of you is just 6 percentage points away from the correct answer, which is 93%. Soju's walking away with this one. Only 2 of those 28 reviews, at least on the blurbs, are negative. I don't know if
That
that's
makes sense. Yeah.
yeah. So, in fact, normally I would go into, and it's not certified either. By the way, there's too few
You
reviews
gotta have
here,
like
and there's no aggregate.
90 hell yeets to get certified.
God damn it. I'm happy the movie.
A can of with ass.
I'm happy the movie's sitting at a 93, but I'm tired of your mouth. I'm gonna fill it with katsu chicken.
Tired of your sweet pink mouth.
I'm gonna pack it so full of ice cream.
Ice cream. With your fist.
Yeah.
Oh.
Put a little cream on my knuckles and start serving it up.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Anyway,
Knuckle Sunday.
Ooh, don't threaten me with a good time.
Damn, man.
Yeah, this is there's no like critics aggregate phrasing here or whatever, and I read the negative reviews that are on here, and they're just not that negative. They're not that interesting. So I think
Sick.
we can pretty much call it a wrap on Rotten Tomatoes.
All right, we did it. Juice, was there any other trivia that you didn't get to mention?
No, not really enough to hit the bump, so we can skip over it.
All right,
Not
looks like
enough
we're
to trigger the
talking.
bump.
We're talking Cooter of the Week, boys.
Straight chillin'. Cooter of the week.
Juice, what is a Cooter and why do we hunt them?
Oh, Cooter's character type and a straight chilling exclusive.
The haunted segment.
Let me in now.
Mother!
Cooter is a character type and a straight chilling exclusive. Has to hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a cooter, but we want the cooter with the most points. The 5 points of cooterdom are sexual deviance, manipulation, smug arrogance, overall looking attire, and overall eating ice cream with your fist.
Oh, overall, huh? Oof.
Eating ice cream in an unsanctioned manner.
Unsafe.
Yeah, we don't. The ice cream league is going to have a fit with that.
Can't
one.
eat it
Lots
with
of-
your
lots of
fist.
Fees.
You can't
Penalty.
eat it with a knife. You can't eat it with chopsticks.
Hey, Juice, can you fist me some of that cream over there?
Oh
real quick?
yeah, let me just.
Oh,
Here, let me
thanks.
get you a little.
Thanks. Yeah.
That's why we used to do that at Cold Stone all the time. People love
Just
it.
yeah.
scooping shit with your fingers, just raw
Oh,
dogging
yeah.
it. Just dirty ass digits in the dairy.
Oh, Bob's booty knuckle getting in your ice cream there.
Oh, too good for that, are we?
Oh, she's a fancy flapjack.
I was sitting over there with his thumb up his
Hey,
ass, you know.
hey,
he's
smell this knuckle. That's what a man smells like.
That's rum raisin, bitch.
got- oh God.
Can I get a scoop of
Anyways.
the butt raisin?
What is
please?
happening to us as human beings?
To us.
I blame Justin.
You always do.
Just innocent, man.
I'm the source of all Bob's problems, apparently.
Ain't that the
I'm
truth?
the reason why there's
You're
millions
the-
of blues in that room.
You just keep sending them. You just keep. Please stop.
I've given you like 3 of those blues.
Please.
Point
stop.
0.0001% of this.
3 seasons of hoarders, and we see the lesson has not sunk in yet.
You're just being too subtle. I'm not picking up on the hint.
Anyways, we gotta go Trent on this one. Manipulation
Trent.
is high. Smug
Shit.
arrogance is high.
Check.
Looking attire. Was there anything that he was sporting that made y'all think it's a
Not
no-go?
especially.
Not that I can remember. He's like
Seemed pretty
regular
bog standard.
clothes.
Okay.
That's what makes him so effective to fit in with shit. So
Yeah. Overall
Hmm.
patheticness, absolutely yes.
Ooh,
Oh yeah.
yeah, that's the top spot, baby.
And sexual deviance. Are we gonna go sexual deviant?
I don't
think
think
it's
it's
arguable
overt
enough.
enough. I
Yeah.
don't think. I think you can read into it, but like he doesn't. I don't know.
I mean, it's not. It's the only thing that is like really extra creepy. They don't ever do any scenes about it, but he has the glass window that's always watching Josh.
Dude,
So even
yeah.
if Josh
He
is
has
gonna
that
stay
just
and
in-
live down there,
Yeah,
like,
he just has that.
yeah, that's not
Just-
okay.
You know, yeah, that's a good point because you can't just throw that together real quick. There's a giant hole in his floor, and it's like well
Yeah.
constructed, and
That's yeah.
that is weird.
It doesn't
to
like I.
have.
If they had shown like 2 seconds
Yeah,
of
I have
him,
this window to look into my basement.
And I think it's in his
Just in case.
bedroom too.
It's
He's
like
an
right
empty
next to his
basement.
bed. Yeah.
it's such a weird
It's like
thing.
a
I wish they would've
skylight.
That's actually a little bit of something that I feel like that doesn't make sense. Actually, thinking about it, that he would have that before like conceiving of this plan, which we watch him come up with the plan as he's fisting the
Yeah.
cream in the basement.
Yeah, I don't know if we ever
So-
because he's been in the basement before. Yeah, because he goes and gets the ice cream, and like, yeah, there's
That's the only thing down there. What are you building a skylight?
Should be no
Dude,
window.
maybe his mother locked him down there, and she had that built so she'd keep an eye on him.
Yeah, I
Maybe
don't
it's
think
his
they
mom's
ever let
house.
us see it though.
They don't show
No,
us
no,
that,
I'm
though,
just
but yeah.
reading into shit.
Yeah,
That's not.
I know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, I'm even seeing like
we
the
should put
skylight
it-
there. Where
Sorry,
should we
Matt.
put it? In her
in his
cream?
brownie.
No.
These references, if you don't get them, we just sound fucked.
I know it. But
Like,
Well, that's
really-
pretty normal.
literally every episode of this fucking show. Yeah,
These
that's-
guys
We're
are
making-
fucked.
That
I
is-
like it.
Arrested,
podcast?
Arrested Development references.
No,
That's
no,
what
no. We're just
Yeah,
fucked up, bro.
We're just, I'm a little fucked up. If you don't like it, this ain't the podcast
I'm
for
a
you,
little
bro.
twisted. I'm a little bit
You
of
need
a
to go
twisted
listen to some
freak.
weak ass shit.
Some soft ass shit.
I don't like soft ass shit.
If you're talking cream, this is a hard pack podcast,
Oh
motherfucker.
my
None of that soft serve.
Oh my god.
Anyways,
All right.
Trent
I think we
definitely
got him.
hits
There's-
high enough.
In their lives.
So I think we could give him 4 points. Just looking at tire.
Sure, that's fine.
Yeah.
There's no other cooters, I don't think, really at all in this. It's just Trent. Yeah.
There's
Everybody
not a
else
lot
is
of
kind of like,
characters, yeah.
you know, just folks.
I'm gonna give looking at tired old ponytail man.
Mike Lindell's ass with a ponytail. It
Was
looks
that-
just like him. It's
was-
crazy.
Ponytails were probably cool in like 1981. Probably.
Cool on
Probably.
45 to 50-year-old men. I don't know, Bob.
I mean, I don't know. You know, I mean, the
Hair
man
metal
bun
was a
was
thing.
popular recently. So
What was popular?
the man bun? I probably still
Oh.
is. I don't know.
That man.
What
bun.
did you hear?
Also,
I didn't hear
I mean, mullets are coming back for crying out loud.
Oh,
Like,
they
what's-
are. They're back, but they're not coming. They're here.
Mullets
Oh.
and
Oh,
Jinko
they're coming
jeans.
multiple
Anything is possible.
Yeah, that's true. That's
All right.
true.
So true.
Well,
Yeah,
boys,
lock him up.
let's lock them up and talk about what we've been watching this week.
Hey, gang, what you been watching?
Randoozle, what you been watching?
Well, actually, not a whole heck of a lot. Righteous Gemstones. I'm fully caught up, ready to go for the next step. Excited to see where this thing ends. It's I read recently that this episode this season has been inspired by George Romero and some other iconic horror director I'm blanking on.
I did notice the
Um,
monkey shines thing.
No, I didn't notice that, but I did notice like a lot of horror references just like directly showing
Yeah,
like
Friday the
Part 2 and
13th.
stuff.
Yeah, they're playing
Um,
dress ups.
They are dress them ups.
Dress them ups.
What is it like? What is the award that that he's going for again. What is that? It's
Oh,
the most God-loving man or something.
yeah, best. Oh, dude, I can't remember. It's
Oh,
such a silly
so
title.
The
fucking
most
funny.
God-loving man.
The most
Um,
godly worshiping man or something. I can't remember. Yeah, something like
I
that.
can't remember. That show has some fucking way with words, dude. I think I mentioned Woman in the Yard last week. Did I not?
I think so. You think you said you might
I
do a
think I
mini
did.
cast on it.
I might do a mini cast on it. It might be a little far away now for me to do that, but I watched that. I watched Hell of a Summer. Yeah, no, I brought these up because I mentioned Rosebud Baker and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
yeah. As far as new stuff, for sure, Sinners I watched, like I mentioned earlier, and as Bob mentioned, there will be a mini cast on that, so I will abstain from saying too much more. But man, that's one of my favorite things to have done a mini cast on. I'll say that much.
Nice.
Um,
Well, there's only been like
And then
3
last-
of them, so that's not.
yeah, I know. Like, yeah.
Dunk on his ass.
I was on one with multiple people before. And then really last, like the only other thing I watched at all was yesterday I went to a buddy's place and watched a little bit of WrestleMania, and it's fine. It's fun. It's I left the minute Logan Paul's name hit the screen.
Oh God, is he
I gotta go.
involved now in wrestling?
He's pretty standard standard appearance
Oh, God.
appearer. He's a standard guy there now. pretty
He's a
much.
character. He's there.
He's one of the characters there, and buddy, I am just not fucking buying what he's selling.
White
But, some
supremacy?
good shit. Yeah, some of that. Presumably some steroids in the back room.
You got to vote with your dollar, you know. Just
Yeah. Yeah, and Stephanie McMahon was dressed like Judy Gemstone. It was weird.
Oh my
so
God.
I don't know.
Oh,
Not
Stephanie
intentionally, just kinda
McMahon,
was.
Jesus Christ, that's the person.
That was
I
my
haven't thought about
reaction
in a
as
long
well.
time.
Um,
Stephanie McMahon.
fucking Rey
Did she
Mysterio's
say-
kid Dom looks exactly like Eddie Guerrero and has like the full-on Eddie
damn.
Guerrero mullet and Cheech Marin mustache. So the mullet is back, and that
God
he is the sex
damn.
boy of the fucking company right now.
Oh my
He's
God.
like dating all the hot women in feuds relating to all
Oh, I
hot
bet
women.
he
Just-
is.
sitting on the back of that head.
96 and
That's where the party is.
that's it. Really, I got nothing to add. I don't know enough about wrestling, modern day wrestling, to add much more than that. So there you go.
Well, good for you, I guess. Juice, what you been watching?
Well, the most important thing I listened to this week was the Overlook recap that you boys did, And I gotta
Mhm.
say, it sounded like you guys had a really unfun, lonely time there without Shaboy. So, sorry I couldn't make it this time around. Sounded like a downer of a year. So I'll, have to try to make it out next year to lift your boys' spirits up.
I mainly just cried in the hotel room and snuggled Randoozle from the back.
And farted on him, apparently.
Oh my god, so many farts.
Oh my
Oh,
god!
God. But one thing, so I had watched, I don't know, at least the first 2 seasons, maybe 3. I don't really remember. It was back in the day of Peaky Blinders, but I know like it kept going. I think maybe there's a movie about it or something. I know it's a big
That's
thing.
right.
So I was like, hey, you know what? I'll throw it on. This will be like my lunchtime watch. So I'm going through it again. It's the episodes I had already watched, so I'm just starting back at season 1 again. But yeah, I was just kind of curious because I was like, oh yeah, I know that kind of like took off and became a bit of a cultural thing, and I'm kind of curious why. So, and I know there's like a lot of big name actors in it throughout the series, so I was like, I'll check that out. I don't even, maybe it's still going. I don't actually know.
There's a movie that's coming
Yeah,
out. I just
Oh,
looked it
okay,
up 'cause
okay.
I
Okay.
heard about it. Yeah.
So I watched that, and really the only other thing I watched, there's also this Netflix show, a series, I guess, that is Korean, and it's called When Life Gives You Tangerines, and it's really good so far. It's like the biggest show in Korea right now, and one of the reasons is it's about so there's this island that Korea has that's kind of like Hawaii. It's like volcanic in nature. And it has a very interesting culture there in that there was a lot of women whose husbands either died out at sea or like there was died in the wars like in the past, and they created this like community of women who essentially like survive off the ocean. So they're these women free divers who like dive down and like catch just fish and seafood and stuff and sell it, and they have like restaurants now, and it's a thing, and they still do it. Like you can go watch them go free dive. So
This is like a reality show of some kind.
it's not reality, it's
documentary show?
historical. So it's it's
okay.
about this young girl whose mother does that. She lives on the island, and in a way too, it's kind of like about like women in Korea and stuff like that. So if that historical aspect sounds interesting to you, or that cultural aspect, it's a really good show. It's really sad, dramatic type of show. But it's really good so far. They grow tangerines on the island, which is why that's where the name comes from. But yeah, it's really good so far, and but it's got like 20 episodes or something, so it's but it's one of those ones where it's like it happens and it's done. It's not one of those ones where they just keep making episodes and season 3, season 4, they make a whole series and it's finished. So yeah, but that's all I've been watching. Who's that? Bob? What you been watching?
Bob is next.
Oh,
Nothing.
and now we got Hotline Screams.
Oh, we gotta roll right. Bob's not here today, so we just keep
Bob
on
decided
rolling.
not to show up. That's why I did the plot synopsis. So we'll just
He must be trapped under the sheets laying eggs of fart.
God,
laying eggs.
laying eggs.
Eggs of fart. I've decided that's a thing.
Right on. I haven't really watched anything. I was in New York for the past several days.
Oh,
Hollywood
you're walking
Bob
there.
over there.
Oh.
Okay, whoa.
I'm famous because I can fly to New York City.
Eating pizza and
Wow.
bagels, I suspect.
Oh my!
You're
I
correct.
heard that you can put pizza on a bagel. And have
Did
pizza
you
in
have
it.
a pizza
Anytime.
bagel while you were in New York, Bob?
I don't think they
Authentic
just
pizza bagel?
sell those. I think you'd have to, I mean, you could cook them.
Pizza bagel?
I mean, like on the street. You're
I
like,
think
there's
they
not,
might.
You're not walking into a parlor and buying pizza bagels, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh,
Okay,
parlors. We're
You
only
just
eating at
don't know the real
parlors
New
these
York
days.
spots.
I see.
Yeah, I didn't want to like big time y'all, but I guess you leave me no
Mm.
choice now. I just really got to do it to you.
Big old doinks.
Big old doink time. Yeah, the food was great. We had pizza and bagels, and it was all really quite delicious. We did go to Radio City Music Hall while we were there, which I'd never been to before. It's beautiful. It's built in like 1933, I think, and it all looks like it's from 1933. We saw Aziz Ansari do some stand up, and he's pretty fucking funny. I don't know. They had a camera there. They were filming it. I don't know if it's gonna be released
Whoa,
anywhere.
Bob. Did
We're
he
gonna
riff
skip
on
that-
you?
That
Did he,
next
like,
special's
no,
gonna come
hey,
out, and
this
you're just gonna hear.
guy-
Look at this loser. He's probably got a podcast.
White guy, glasses? Yeah, podcast. Am I right?
Who's that
Probably.
motherfucker that just laughed like a balloon releasing?
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Sounds like a pod person.
A pod. Yeah.
I think that's my favorite bump that we have now.
Sounds exactly like a pod person. Apparently. It was called the Hypothetical Tour. So I don't know. Maybe that'll be coming out on like Netflix or something. I think his last one was a Netflix special, so maybe this one is too. I don't know. He didn't say one way or the other. Anyway, that was really funny. We went to the Met, looked at a bunch of art. It was great. They had an exhibit that was passing through. It's not like a permanent exhibit, all about like old timey American photographs from like the mid 1800s up to like 1910, I think it was, which was very much my jam, and that shit ruled. Went to some cool tiki bars, which was a lot of fun.
No way.
I know, big surprise. Some awesome tiki bar. One of them is like very much like a horror themed punk rock kind of inspired tiki bar concept. They had like a giant shark hanging from the ceiling, and I had a tar man as my first beverage, which was fantastic. It's rad. Called Paradise Lost. Check it out in New York if you're ever there. Also, most importantly, I got to meet longtime friend of the show, Hydraberg, in real life.
What?
And he didn't
Not the
lock me away
man.
in his basement or anything and make me
What?
build him a synthesizer.
Is that your
or
first time
whatever.
meeting Hydra
Juice, you owe me $10.
Yeah. Yeah, first time in real life, yeah. Not digitally meeting.
I thought
him.
for sure he was gonna lock your ass up.
I know, I'm here. I'm back. Sorry to spoil it.
Uh-huh.
But that was cool. We hung out for a while. Hung out at apparently the first barcade in the States. That's what they said, and I didn't research it to verify.
The best cup of coffee in New York.
Wow.
The first cup of coffee ever sold in New York, right here. I promise you.
This is it. We never sold it.
I promise
Here
you.
it is.
This is the best horror podcast on the market, boys. I'm telling you.
Yep.
Don't do
You
any
can't disprove
research.
that.
Them's the facts.
Can't be done.
Don't do it. Don't do it. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I've been doing. Just hanging out, big time in it in New York City.
Oh yeah.
Get a
We
rope.
don't. Goddamn. We don't have any voicemails this week.
Oh,
because
I'm sorry. I guess
nobody loves it.
I guess we'll just, sit over here alone in our corners
Guess we'll just have to lock someone away in our basement because we're so lonely.
and watch them through our skylight.
Guys, I gotta go. I got a gallon of ice cream to fist in my mouth.
Nobody gives a fuck.
Okay, all right. I guess we'll just, wrap the show up early then, since there's
I got-
no voicemails. I guess you guys don't
All
want a
alone.
long show. I guess, you're just
I
ready
like 'em
for us
nice
to
and short.
stop talking, So
I thought we were
guess
friends, but I
If you guys-
I
nobody-
guess 10 years of dedication is worth nothing to you people, so I guess I'll just go eat some ice cream.
We work so hard. If you guys are listening and after all this bullshit would like to call in and leave a voicemail to be featured on next
Can't
week's
imagine
show,
why you would.
you can hit us up at 904-638-3231. I want to know,
Hmm.
what are some of your favorite synth scores or just synth-driven bands? Give us some
Okay.
recs. Yeah.
Lords of
What's
Synth, let's go.
What is...
I know nothing about that subgenre myself, so I will be very lost.
I found an
Somebody-
artist today called Shredder 1984, which is very much a modern artist, but that's making, synth wavy type stuff. That was pretty cool. I was digging it from what I heard.
Cool.
That's my
I have a
recommendation.
synthwave playlist somewhere out there in the ether.
Yeah, you do, and it's good.
Is it cool? That's good to hear.
Got some. I haven't listened to it recently, but I remember
Yeah.
banging it for quite a while.
Mm.
It's good shit. It's got some good
Banging
shit.
it.
Just banging it.
Whoa.
Just
Stop banging my playlist, bro.
stop making it so good.
Yeah,
Almost.
let's see some artists that are on there. The Midnight, Le Matos. Oh, that's from that movie with the kid on the bike. It's like retro movie.
Yep.
We covered it.
At E.T. Great
Summer
movie.
of 1984.
No, it's
Oh, Goonies, yes. Very
Turbo
good movie.
Kid.
it's kind of like Turbo Kid. Yeah, I was
Okay.
about to say it's kind of like the
Okay.
Goonies. Yeah, Lorne, DYE,
that's a heater.
Gunship, Time Cop 1983. So that's kind of like Shredder 1984.
We got all the years. We got
Yeah.
all the years.
Mhm.
The year
Boy.
bands.
Scandroid. There you go. There's some synthwave for you there.
Scan Droid. I'm more particular to Japan Droids, which is a real band.
Hey, that's a great band. Yeah.
Japan droids.
Japan Droids. Kicking ass. Yeah, call in 904-638-3231 with some synth scores or bands. Synth Rex. Hit us up. Next week, we're going to be back with a brand new show. As always, we're talking about the winner of the April poll, which was A Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Oh, shit.
Deuce.
Oh,
We're deucing it.
Fuck.
The deuce is loose
Oh,
in your
yeah.
nightmares.
God.
It's nice to get some good movies in our feed these days. Whoa. It's been a
Randy
while.
has climaxed live.
Oh.
Oh.
Is that what it sounds like when you climax, Juice?
Buddy, a lady never tells.
Because that would, I imagine, be very
That's the sound.
I have to imagine.
That's my secret, Bob. I never climax.
I'm in a constant state
I'm
of
always on
climax.
edge.
When I do, brother, you'll know it.
The world will feel my climax.
The world will be covered in ectoplasm.
The earth will open up and cavernous hordes will come out and spray across the land.
Jesus Christ. Hey, what's that weird cult in Central Florida that think is going to rain tapioca pudding or whatever when Jesus comes back? That's
What?
going to be when
I'm
Jesus
sorry, what?
Yeah,
Oh,
you told me
really?
about that, Randy. You worked
Tapioca
you
pudding,
worked
I
for
don't
one of
remember
them. Maybe I'm
That's
maybe
not-
mayonnaise. Or
That's
something?
not
I
a part
forget.
of the cult. No, that's not.
Yeah, it's
the
gonna
Inday's
rain Jello or something.
What?
gonna rain Jello. Yeah,
Yeah, they
I've never
worship
spoken those words out loud to
tapioca,
anybody
the
or
god
in
of
my
tapioca
mind.
pudding. I don't know. Google it.
That's
It's
why
out
God
there.
made tapioca
Do
pudding.
your own research.
Do your own research. It's true, but just research.
Why
gonna
are you
make a
afraid to
claim.
do your own research about
Must
the
not be a
tapioca
thinker.
rain apocalypse?
It's definitely true, bro. Trust me.
It's true.
This podcast ain't for soft asses. This is for hard
That's true.
asses. You gotta have a hard ass.
Watch your profanity.
Kind of want some soft asses myself, but
No,
you
you
know,
a hard ass.
Pillow soft, please.
if it's gonna be touching the back of my head, I kind of want it a little soft, you know.
I want it memory foam.
Want to have your skull cracked open by some rock hard buns?
Oh, man. Between a rock and a hard ass.
For those pillow buns.
That's precisely where I like
I'm
to
gonna
be.
look for a guy with a round, muscular butt.
Ain't that just the way? Yeah, check out A Nightmare on Elm Street Part Deuce. Get ready for next week's show. We're on all the socials. Just search Straight Chilling Podcast. Will pop right up. You know where we are. There's also links on literally every podcast that we post, so I probably don't ever have to say this ever again. But I've just done it
There's
for a decade.
hundreds of links.
So
out
I
there.
can't stop. I just can't stop.
Can't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop. Nightmare on Elm Street Deuce next week. Until then, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.
Fire!